So, back when I started this channel, I made it very clear that I'm not bipartisan. I am not necessarily a conservative, but the conservatives make way more sense than the liberals right now, and for a long time actually. So that's why I'm supporting Pierre Poilievre. However, in the last month or so, he has made some statements regarding the climate Paris Accord agreement, the tariff trade war with Donald Trump, his foreign policy. He said some things that, I'll be honest with you, aren't very good, and a lot of people aren't liking what he has to say. So I'm asking a question here. I'm not making a statement. I'm just kind of making this video out of curiosity. But with those recent comments regarding those three topics, do you think that Pierre Poilievre is maybe dropping the ball a little bit here? So what he says here, he goes, carbon tax con job. Carney is asked 3 times if he will axe the tax. He won't answer. No matter what he says or won't, now, if he wins in the next election, carbon tax, Carney will hike the tax. So it's a lot of, tax, we're going to drop the tax, axe the tax, carbon tax, Carney, a lot of slogans, which he's made that very clear. So he shows this video here of basically Mark Carney just not answering a question, right? It's 49 seconds of him basically saying nothing. But then you go down to the comment section, you see people like Mr. Sunshine, who is, pretty respected on YouTube, has a pretty big channel, and what he says is, quick question, Pierre, before you lose my support, what's the benefit of starting a trade war with America instead of fixing all the things that were mentioned by Trump, which also more directly has a positive impact on Canadians? Right, and that's the thing. People are very concerned about his recent interview. I think it was with CTV where he said he wants to do a dollar-for-dollar tariff war with Donald Trump. That isn't going to hurt both countries, but specifically Canada. As it is, the average American citizen is 40% more wealthy than the average Canadian citizen. Not that they're doing great, but they're doing better than us. We can't afford these hits at all. And Pierre seems to want to go to war with them, at least in a trade war, not a figuratively war. Not a literal war, rather. And then you see this guy here named Francis. He says no one cares about the carbon tax right now. You're fumbling at the 1-yard line is the issue. Trade war with the U.S.? Get your ass down there and meet with Trump. Imagine the win of getting the tariffs delayed. Maybe come up with some policy before the election. And then another person calling him out on that, and they showed the clip. So let's have a look at this here, and we'll see what Pierre Poilievre has to say about these potential tariffs being put on Canada by President Trump on February 1st.
People would like to get some specifics about how we're going to tackle this.
President Trump is a deal maker. He wants to win, but we're both going to lose as Americans and Canadians if we get into a trade war. So what I would say is, how do we position the decision for him so that he understands that America can only win if it allows open, unbridled free trade with Canada? So I would retaliate, and I would target products and services that A, we don't need, B, we can make ourselves, and C, that we can buy elsewhere, so that we maximize impact on the Americans while minimizing impact on Canadians.
And a lot of people don't like that. They want Pierre Poilievre to go down and meet with Donald Trump and say, hey, look, there's an election coming soon, just hold off on these tariffs. I'll be prime minister soon, and we'll work on the border together. Donald Trump doesn't want to have a trade war with us. He just wants Canada to understand that he means business when it comes to protecting the border. And he wants commitment from Canada saying, yes, we will help you. And so far, Trudeau, Singh, Carney, Freeland, and Pierre Poilievre are all saying similar things. They want to have a trade war with this guy. A lot of people do not like that. And I'm one of them. Now, that's not enough for me to go and vote for Mark Carney or anything crazy like that. Still going to vote for Pierre. But is this kind of stuff enough for people to get discouraged with Pierre Poilievre and they stay home, and next thing you know, this election gets a lot closer? And lastly, there's a guy named Arnold who says, Paris Accord Pierre. When are you to exit the Paris Accord treaty? Oh, right, you won't, because you're a con too. And again, Donald Trump left the Paris Accord agreement. He left the WHO. Pierre Poilievre is not committing to those things. And to be fair, maybe what he's reading is that Canadians don't want to leave the Paris Accord treaty or the WHO. Although there are a lot of Canadians who do, he might see that as, well, if I do that, I'm going to be more like Trump, and there are a lot of Canadian conservatives who like Trump, but there's also a lot who don't. So he might feel like, well, if he does a little bit too much of what Trump does, maybe he'll lose support. But that being said, even though Pierre is dominating in the polls, this last month hasn't been too great for him. He's worse than Trudeau on certain foreign policies. YouTube's TOS doesn't really allow me to go into details about, but it's about a certain war that I'm very against. And now not leaving the Paris Agreement, not leaving the WHO, and now saying, hey, he wants to start a trade war with Trump. He's losing a little bit of momentum here. And if this continues, you're going to see him slip a little bit more in the polls. And a lot of people are going to get discouraged, and we can't have that. Now, that being said, this is also up to Pierre to change his mind on some of these things. And if he doesn't, then who knows what happens. Again, I'm not saying the Liberals are going to win, but the way this was headed was that Pierre Poilievre was going to win, 250, 260 seats. I still think he will, but these last few statements over the last few weeks that he's been making are very concerning to a lot of people, and I agree with that concern. Again, I am not making this to hype up the Liberals, or I'm not even thinking about voting Liberal or NDP or anything like that. Still going to vote for Pierre. And yes, we need him to cut the taxes, and yes, that's a good thing. But immigration is very important. Controlling the border is very important. Stopping some of these drugs coming in from the States is very important. But the more Pierre keeps talking or doesn't talk about these issues, people are getting more concerned. Rightfully so, because he's not saying the right things here. He keeps saying Canada first, Canada first. Well, a trade war is not Canada first. Supporting proxy wars is not Canada first. Whether you like Pierre or don't like Pierre, or whether you like what I'm saying or you don't like what I'm saying, that's the truth. Again, I'm not trying to discourage anyone from voting for Pierre Poilievre, but we do have to ask the question, is Pierre Poilievre losing some momentum here? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Please do not be shy. I really, really enjoy engaging with you guys, especially on a topic like this, because when I first made this channel, I did say that I was going to be critical of Pierre Poilievre if he deserved it. And on those issues, he deserves some criticism. But let me know what you guys think. Please also don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really helps grow the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back shortly with a new video.